Hi, I'm Nate, and these are my top 5 Star Wars characters of all time. I have been a Star Wars fan for almost my entire life, since I was about 5 or 6, so basically all that I can remember. And since the beginning, I have been a die-hard Star Wars fan. I'm now 20 years old, so I have been a Star Wars fan for so much of my life. And a lot of the characters mean a lot to me. And I feel I see a little bit of myself in some of my favorite ones, and others that are just really cool. So, without any further ado, let's just get right into it. Coming in at my number 5 spot of my favorite characters is a clone called Wrecker. We first see him in Season 7 of the Clone Wars animated series, then we see him for a lot in the Bad Batch 3-season animated series, and he is the muscle of the group, the brawn, not the brains, very clearly. And he's one of my favorite characters for a couple reasons. He's part of this defective group of these clone commandos that make do with their genetic defects and use them to their advantage. His is humongous strength and brawn. He also is shown to have a lot of key flaws or things that ground him. For example, he has this stuffed animal that he's had for years at this point and is really close and connected with, and it means a lot to. He also, as it's shown many times in the series, has a very crippling fear of heights, as do I. And I was able to empathize with him. It was very intense seeing him in all of these situations back to back episodes where he's just constantly needing to face his fears all the time. And I thought that was pretty inspirational and pretty cool to see someone with my same fear doing such crazy stunts all the time. And I know he's a soldier in an animated series, but it's still interesting on some level. And I feel like those are the main reasons that I like him, but the key reason is he is the glue for his whole group. When he is there, he is what holds them together. He might not have a lot of book smarts or anything like that, but he is very emotionally intelligent, and he knows how to say, do, or be there for the right things and the right people at the right time to make the right decision. Whenever one of his brothers or sisters is in peril or needs help doing anything, he will go his absolute hardest all the time to help them through something. And I really respect that. I love that loyal character trope. It's something that's just such a positive effect on the character itself and all the characters around it. It just lifts the entire group up as a whole. Moving on to the number 4 spot is Darth Maul. Originally seen in the Star Wars Phantom Menace movie, Episode 1, and then later seen in the Clone Wars animated series in the later seasons, seasons 4 through 7, he goes through a very defined character redo. Because in the movie where he's first introduced, he has 2 lines where he speaks in the entire movie. And he's a very one-dimensional character. He just looks and is pure evil. And in the Clone Wars animated series, he is still a Sith Lord. He is still very evil. He goes on genocidal rampages and conquests across the galaxy, forming this massive criminal empire. So he's still evil, but it fleshes him out. It shows, it reintroduces us to his character after he's been struggling for, at this point, over a decade, just living in the shadows, going insane. Then some of the episodes take him on a recovery process where he stays still really evil, but he becomes more sane, calm, and collected, and more in control of himself again, and more like a person rather than a raging monster. And I love the calmer villain trope because it adds so much more sophistication rather than just a basic evil bad guy to rule all basic evil bad guys for no other reason than being evil. His reason is he knows nothing else. He was born into this. He was taken from his home and forced to become this weapon of evil. So he just spreads that around and uses that to his advantage. And it's very different from my number 5 spot, but it's just such a cool thing to see. And the ways that the animators and the directors used his character, for example, in the finale to the Clone Wars series, Maul is there, and they employ a lot of motion capture technology to use the original stunt performer for the lightsaber fights, and they put that into the animated series, and it took so much effort to change up the style of how they usually do it, and it looks phenomenal. It is one of the best choreographed fights in all of Star Wars, in my opinion, and according to so many articles researching all of the art forms and all the complicated moves that they're able to do that were actually performed by real people in this, not just animated on a screen. And that's incredible. Moving on to my number 3 spot, Plo Koon. Now, Plo Koon is not as prominent of a character as my previous 2. He's much more of a side character, barely shown in any of the movies, and shown only in a couple episodes of the Clone Wars animated series. He is one of my favorite characters because he is one of, if not the closest representation that we see in the Skywalker Saga stories of how a Jedi should be, while still having emotions and keeping the balance of being in touch with those emotions, but not so detached that it makes you callous or just a jerk like some of the other Jedi are shown to be. And he is able to find that balance where he is very caring and thoughtful to all of the clone soldiers under his command. He was the first Jedi General to know all of their names super quickly into the war, making sure to familiarize himself with every single one of the clones under his command, and making a deep personal connection, knowing how each of their personalities were, and having a different dynamic with each and every single one of them. And it's just incredible to see, and that's why it was such a tragic scene for me when in episode 3 Order 66 happens and the clones fire on him and he barely has any time to react to do anything to stop it. And up until recently, I was not able to watch that scene because of how sad it made me. He's just such a kind, empathetic, and learned Jedi that knows what he is, knows who he is, and knows the people around him and how to conduct himself in the best way. And he's just very loyal, he's steadfast, he's not willing to compromise his morals for a lot, and it's just something that's very refreshing to see, that when he's in an episode or in a scene, that there's always some common sense and decency still left, and it was always nice to see whenever he came in. Sadly, very little, but it was nice to see overall. Now, moving into my second favorite character is another clone trooper by the name of Fives. We first see him early in season 1 in the episode called Rookies, where he is one of the rookies that is guarding this outpost on this barren moon that actually does hold a lot of strategic value, just not realized by the rookies. And some hijinks happen and the base gets overtaken, and he's one of the people that is luckily able to survive and manages to retake the base back and help alert the Republic that an invasion is imminent. And throughout the series, we see him grow and mature and get more and more screen time, thankfully. And he becomes a very skilled, competent, and respected ARC Trooper, which is an advanced recon commando, so a high-ranking individual in the clone army. And he eventually is the first clone to discover the plot of Order 66 and the plot to overthrow the Jedi via the clones and the inhibitor chips that they have in their head that override their own motor functions to force clone soldiers to fire on their Jedi generals to kill them all in one fell swoop. Unfortunately, that is his closing arc, as the rest of Star Wars can't happen without him. But because of him, the rest of Star Wars is able to be set in motion, and there's still hope left in the galaxy because of the original actions and inquiries led by Fives. Without his actions to help, many original fragments that were key to the start of the rebellion, and with how instrumental they were with gaining these very key victories later on, without the direct actions of Fives helping, they would not have happened at all, because so many key characters would have been dead years before any events needed to happen. And the events of Star Wars could have played out very differently if not for Fives helping the rebellion very early and very indirectly. And he's one of my favorite characters, so I have his helmet right back there on my desk, and I've had that for over a year now, and probably one of my favorite possessions of all time, and it's just a tribute to Fives. And now for my favorite character in all of Star Wars. I unfortunately don't have his helmet yet. He is another clone, very closely related to Fives, and he is Captain Rex, one of the main characters of the Clone Wars series. He's in a lot of episodes throughout the seasons. He works alongside Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin's Padawan Ahsoka Tano throughout the entire series, all 7 seasons. He's in the majority of episodes that focus on that trio, and he, throughout the whole Clone Wars, and then consequently in the Bad Batch series as well, goes on this journey of slow discovery on what it means to be a true soldier and what it means to be a good soldier. He started by thinking it just meant blindly following orders without question or thinking of any ramifications about it. Just doing what you're told means you're a good soldier. Then there's a couple of experiences down the line that tie pretty closely together that show him that that's not always the case, and there's more nuance and morality involved in it, especially when it comes to the lives of the men that he serves with, his clone brothers, when some loyalty is called into question, and whether or not you should be taking orders from some people who have rank but might not be deserving or might have more malicious intent. And it's a very interesting arc for this clone who goes on to survive to very old age, and he's just throughout the entire time that he's shown, he is very loyal to his friends and brothers around him, and those that he accepts as his extended family as well. He cares very deeply and goes from just this. Initially, he started out as a very skilled clone soldier, then blossoming into this very individualistic, free-thinking fighter, even in his accelerated aging, decreased functionality. I can't think of the right word right now, but it's just overall a very exciting journey to watch, and I've been a fan of Rex since I was 6 years old, since he's in one of the first episodes, and he's in the Clone Wars movie as well. I've been a fan of him since it started, and he's part of the reason that I'm such a big Star Wars fan, just because I thought his design looked cool, his voice was cool, and just he's a very cool character. I like everything about him. He's got good morals, he's got good loyalty, integrity, he's got really good fighting style, he's got everything that you can think to make a good, honest character that can't really be swayed by much and has such a strong will, as is shown in a couple key moments like the Clone Wars finale. He is one of, if not the strongest will of any clone that we've seen in canon. And it's as clear as night and day. And it's, I mean, in my mind, no question why he's my favorite character. So yeah, those are my top 5 characters in Star Wars.